I'm here with the legendary Dave Meltzer on the Jericho Cruise. Dave, is this your first cruise of any sort?
The first cruise of my life, yes, and I'm having a wonderful time. It's fantastic here.
Everyone knows who you are on this cruise, for better or for worse. What is it in your life that you kind of realized that people knew who you were, not just the guy who did the newsletter?
That's like a gradual thing. In the last couple of years, I think when I had, I don't know, when I bought my cell phone and then the guy freaked out that sold it to me, I thought that was like, that was a kind of a weird random thing. Or when I went to the airport once and the guy who, signs those things, and he like freaked out, "You're not the wrestling Dave Meltzer." So I thought, I don't know if that's it, but those are the ones where, out of nowhere, if it's on here, it's like, it's wrestling fans. But when it's in real life, it's kind of surprising. But it happened more and more in the last. I think it's a combination of YouTube and the Young Bucks. I actually got it more when the Young Bucks were like growing the thing and they were like using my name a lot more. So in that period, it was actually like, because I remember going to Hot Topic and everybody freaked out over seeing me there.
Right.
Your Uncle Dave. So a lot of it was the Uncle Dave stuff.
Well, when exactly did this become a career as opposed to just doing the newsletter for fun on the side? Because didn't you start off as a traditional sports journalist?
Yeah, so I tried to make it a career in '87, and I would say by '88 it was a solid career. The first year it was, everybody thought I made the most foolish choice because I couldn't do both anymore. I was killing myself doing the full-time sports writing and the wrestling. And I was making more money with the sports writing than the wrestling, but I was just like, I'm going to go for it for the wrestling. And I did. And 88 was I did well. And by 89, it was, whatever. It's worked. So it's, 88 is 32 years ago. So it's been tremendous.
Now, I'm not going to say that what you do for a living is a fun job. A lot of people are going to say that, but not realize that when you work in an entertainment kind of field, that the line gets blurred between your work and your fun, and therefore it becomes a confusing kind of mess. What is life for you outside of wrestling journalism?
I don't have a life outside of wrestling and MMA. I mean, that's the whole life other than my kids, So it'd be hanging out with my kids. I mean, that's pretty much it.
With you right now, right here, obviously you do the podcast in front of the crowd. In general, people are psyched to meet you. When you get home, is it going to be like a big transition kind of thing in that you're not going to be in front of crowds, you're back behind the computer?
It's not bothering me at all. It's going to be hard, though, because I have a week's worth of news to catch up on. Because I'm out here, and I'm actually, to an extent, attempting to keep myself out of touch because I never do that.
Right.
So this is kind of like my vacation, even though it's a working vacation. So it's not, no. When I'm ready, when I go back, I'll be ready to go back. It's like that's one of the reasons why I'm keeping myself away from the news this week, because it's like I want to be completely ready, because I know my next week, from Saturday until next Thursday is going to be very, very tough until I get back to the normal schedule.
So with doing those kinds of Q&As, do you find that the questions are the same questions that you get answered over and over and over again? Oh, no, you're well. I'd love to interview you too, man.
Sit here.
Leap right in. I didn't know you were recording.
No problem.
Sorry.
No problem. Brian has joined us, and this is an honor and a privilege right here. Cruise is going great for you as well?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
And is this your first cruise as well?
Of my life, yes.
Is that
I've been
on purpose?
On ferries.
I've been on ferries
when Dave
too.
went to my wedding, but this is the first cruise ship, the first real boat.
That's right.
I've been on.
That's right. The last one was I took a ferry boat to his wedding. Until
In Washington State?
Yes.
How
did you two meet in the first place? By the way, I don't know if that's ever been established.
Well, we didn't meet until 2001, and
yes.
You called me up on the phone one day, right?
No.
You faxed me.
I faxed you.
You faxed me, actually.
He had a spot on his 900 line, and my 900 line had just gone out of business. And so I faxed him and I said, "You need someone new on option 4." And he goes, "Call me back," and said, "Sure."
Yeah.
And then I did option 4, and then one day he called me to do IATA with him.
As a guest.
And that was it.
That was it, and then he stayed as guest for the whole run of the show.
Yes.
And then he started an audio website.
Yep, I started a website with a podcast, and we did that for 3 years.
So
3 years, I said, "Dave, come on board."
Yeah.
And for 3 years, Dave said, "I'm not coming on board."
Well, it wasn't quite like that.
And
but
then finally,
I called you up and I go,
"I'm on board."
I go,
It's like the Jericho Cruise. He came on board.
No, it's like one day, it was the night of the Anderson Silva Dan Henderson fight.
It was UFC related.
Yes, Anderson Silva fought Dan Henderson, and I was sitting there and I was so exhausted, and I sat down to write a story when I was writing for Yahoo.
Sure.
It's like my brain was fried. I couldn't write, and it's like, I can't go on like this. I can't do these daily updates 7 days a week. If I do it 4 days a week and Brian does it 3 days a week, things would be so much better. And then we basically merged, and what a fantastic decision that was. That seriously changed both our lives, really.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, it was that was, of all the business decisions I've ever made in my life, that was like the greatest by far. And I had people arguing with me about it. It's like, you know, I knew it was going to be good, but it's 3 times as good as 2 times as good as I expected.
Not 3, 2.
2 times.
2 times
Correct
as,
multiples.
2 times
there.
as good as I
Yes.
expected.
Well, you guys are in the unique position of being content creators that are in an entertainment-oriented field. And I'm somebody who comes from the music business, and everybody in music is kind of shaking at the idea of, well, Spotify changed everything, and downloading changed everything, and now the merchandise and the publishing revenues where all the money is, and the meet and greets and all that. Are you guys optimistic about the future, or scared about the future, or both when it comes to earning a living from wrestling and MMA-related coverage?
I'm optimistic.
I'm not that concerned now. There were periods where I was, but they always turned out to be wrong because I remember people telling me in '95, it's like, you know, because of the internet, you got about 3 years left. And then the other one was when WWE Network started, and it was just like, everyone's going to watch WWE Network and stop subscribing because that's going to be their service. And Brian actually was the one, and I knew that we would be fine, but Brian was the one who said that we're going to grow, you know, great because of this. And essentially we did.
Yeah.
Although that wasn't the only reason, but that was one of the reasons. So far, we've been very lucky in the sense that as new technologies, whether it's Twitter or YouTube or whatever, have come on, it's all in the long run been a benefit to us. At some point, you know, things will change, but hopefully we'll adapt because everything's different. Like if I just did the newsletter and nothing else now, I'd be done. You know, because the newsletter alone couldn't have done it anymore. The world changed. But we changed with it, so it worked out okay.
And is there anything that you see that you can do to grow the business, or do you just like what you're doing and keep to hold on to it?
Behind the scenes, at least, Dave is along for the ride on a lot of these things, but
Yeah.
we're always looking for whatever is new that we can implement. We were very late on video, but that was because the podcasting and everything, it was just like that's all we did.
Right.
But you know, people were always asking about video, and I never saw why anybody would care to watch a podcast. But we started moving into video, and you know, there's always some sort of new technology that's going to make doing what we do. Like 5 years ago, there's no way we're doing anything on this boat.
Right.
But now,
Yeah.
you know, we've done shows every day on this boat. They're already on the internet, even though there is no internet here. I somehow got them on the internet.
Yeah, trying to
So-
text my wife right now, no luck.
Yeah, there's you know, I'm always trying to find what can we do technologically so that we can do what we're doing easier, better, on a
effective.
boat. Yeah, more effectively, whatever. So there's always something new coming out, and we're all trying to stay on top of that so that, you know, someday your podcast is downloaded to your brain. I'm going to be right on top of the best way to get it into your brain.
Absolutely. So looking at where we are right here and the future and all that, one of the things that I absolutely love about you guys is that you're now totally accepted by the industry as a whole.
Not totally.
You don't think so?
No, well, we're accepted.
Accepted, but
Okay, you on an AEW cruise right now with
Yes.
WWE Hall of Famers on it.
well, I don't know if they're supposed to be here, but they're here.
No, I mean, we're definitely accepted far more than before.
Yeah.
But it's not. Put it this way. I mean, I would say this, with the exception of probably WWE and New Japan. Everyone else now, I think, is probably equal to the level of where UFC was. Whereas before, I would
Yes.
say UFC was so far above everybody in pro wrestling and so far ahead. Now I think, like if it's Ring of Honor or if it's AEW for sure, yeah, I mean, it's no problem. It's just like UFC.
Like, it's not really sports, but all of these other wrestling organizations besides New Japan and WWE, I mean, they run everything like a sport. Like, we're here covering this event, and so we're given coverage like we're covering the Olympics or whatever. Whereas with WWE, you know, if I'm going to cover WWE, I buy my own ticket. Actually, I can get comps. I can get comps now.
No. And I've said this, WWE is much better than it was, but the one difference so the difference is with WWE is there's still, when it comes to control of talent, access to talent,
right?
They're still very different from rules, and New Japan is that way too.
Yes.
You know, whereas with like in AEW, nothing's an issue. With Ring of Honor, nothing would be an issue. They'll bend over backwards for us.
Impact is very easy as well.
Impact
MLW is great.
Yeah. Oh, MLW and Impact would be easy. They're no problem. Yeah.
I'm surprised that you guys also have the trouble getting the WWE talent. I thought that it's once you reach a certain echelon of viewership that everyone says, "Hey, come on in."
Well, but the WWE.
And if you want me to cut this off the record, that's fine.
No, there's nothing off the record. No, WWE, I think there's still a stigma, and it's not like it. I wouldn't be surprised if it changed in the next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. But it's just, to me, the WWE, a lot of it is just like remnants of the past.
That's all it is.
And, you know, because the president actually it makes no sense whatsoever. But it's still remnants of the past, and it's Vince. You know, but it's all of them. It's like they have a certain way of doing things where they don't have to be as friendly to us. But I mean, they're not unfriendly, and it's like I text people and email people there constantly all the time, and they're fine. I mean, it's much better than it was 10 years ago, but it's still not at the UFC level, or not at not the level that some of the other companies are.
Okay, so being mindful of your time here and ending on a positive damn note here. Things are good for you guys. Things are going to continue to be good. Hopefully we'll see you on the third Jericho Cruise. But as two people who forge your own paths and have jobs that most people wish that they had, especially wrestling fans.
Not Monday night at 9.
People don't know. I don't think people realize that, like, how hard it is. How hard it is. I mean, you got to realize. I mean, you know, and both of us. I mean, it's like. You know, Monday night was 12:30. Then Brian just had a daughter, so then it became 1.
Yep.
You know, and it's not the easiest thing in the world. But I mean, the one thing I'll say for Brian, and it goes both ways, is that like we're very cognizant of the other person's life, and you know, if there's something, we'll rearrange as much as we can to make it work. If it's going to be later, fine. If it has to be earlier, we do our best. You know,
but it will still get done.
But yeah, it always gets done. Well, I think that I mean, it's going to sound stupid, but we're very, very, very cognizant of our readership and listenership. I mean, so much. Like when people are out here say stuff, I mean, we're not like take this stuff for granted. I mean, it's really important to us. And I'm like, when I'm writing, I'm like very cognizant of the readers, and I'm very driven, you know, to give them the best product I possibly can without killing over, so to speak.
So that said, as two guys that are entrepreneurs in the digital age, any last words for the kids?
The kids.
The kids. Depends on the kids. This is what I would say is read as much as you can. Read, I mean, and not just wrestling, but learn history, learn as much as you can. The more you read, the more you know, the better the edge you'll have. If you try to fake your way through it, you may get some lucky breaks, but in the end, the smart people will know that and know that you're fake. Anything to add to that, Brian?
No, just whatever it is that you want to do, just do the best you can, and work harder than everybody else, and try to be the best at it. Even if you're not, try every day to be the best at it, and that's it.